Hi, I'm David from ProWarm. We're on site today at a new build. We're currently sat in one of the guest en suites where we're going to be installing some of our electric underfloor heating today. We're going to be using our ProGrid system, which basically consists of a membrane and a cable that clips into the membrane. So the first thing that we did once we decided to get ready for the installation was we took our primer that comes with our kit accessories, and as you can see probably by the color of the floor, we've applied our primer. It's basically just a bonding agent. We are going to then follow that up with sticking down our insulation boards, then our membrane. We'll clip our cable inside the membrane and then leveling compound over the top, ready for the tiler. But the first thing you should do when you get any electric underfloor heating system, whether it's a loose cable, a mat, or a ProGrid cable like what we've got here, is take out the manual that comes in the box. Find this section where it says resistance values. So this will tell us what the resistance of the cable that we're installing should be. So in this particular instance, we've got a 49.3 linear meter length. So if we find that in our table, we've got 49.3 meters, and that should measure at 78.37 ohms, or to within 10% of that value. So basically anything down from 71 to 85 is still a pass on that test. So we're going to quickly just turn on our multimeter, set it to the correct range, which for this is between ordinary continuity and 200 ohms. Then we're going to clip the red clip onto our live, and we're going to clip the black onto our neutral, and we are at 78.1, and we should have 78.37. So we know this cable is absolutely fine and we're okay to install it. So with that done, while we're on the topic of recording and taking our installation resistance readings and stuff, in the box with the instructions you will have an installation form. So this gives you a table for yourself or for your electrician to complete what resistance was before fitting and after fitting. So we now know that this was 78.1 before we fitted it. Once everything's installed and we've got the leveling compound down over the top, we'll take another resistance reading and we'll record that in the after installation column there. And once you've done this and you've got your electrician to put his details in there, this can be sent back to ProWarm and you'll have a lifetime warranty on this cable or any of the electric underfloor heating systems that you bought from us. So it's worth completing that. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to insulate our subfloor. So to do that, we've got the ProWarm Pro cement coated insulation boards. You can see they're cement and fiberglass reinforcement on either side, and then you've got the insulating extruded polystyrene material in the middle. It's a very rigid hard wearing board. We're going to bond these down to our subfloor that we primed earlier using the tile adhesive. So we're going to start mixing that up now, and then we'll put the boards down, and then we can start putting our ProGrid membrane on top of the boards. Once you've got it to this kind of consistency, it's creamy, lump free, and doesn't fall off your trowel, you know you're ready to start putting it on the floor. So set the board into our adhesive, and then to make sure that the adhesive's got a good firm contact with the boards, you see all these ribs, we need to compress those underneath the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to just give it a wiggle. And we know there's solid contact now underneath our board. And once that adhesive hardens, that is not going anywhere. So we're laying our boards in a brick bond fashion. What that means is that we're trying to avoid any continuous vertical joints running through the floor, as doing it this way offers more structural stability to the subfloor. So we're now going to cut our first cut to the wall on this side, and yeah, I'll show you how to do it. You can either measure with your tape measure and then transfer that mark over to the board and cut it, or you can just offer it up and take reference points here, and then we'll just check to make sure it's the same on the other side. And we'll just use our straight edge to line up our two marks. So we're here and we're there. And we're going to take our utility knife and score into the board like that. It's also worth doing it for a second time, so you know you've got a good clean score on the board. And you can pick it up and it will fold along the score line. And you take our utility knife, take our cut piece, and if I've not blown a complete plonker, this will fit in that gap there. So it does fit on the length, and now we're just going to do the same for this side as well, because with this board we've cut to come past this, which is why this is poking out. So we're now just going to trim this off so that we keep this line running straight and it doesn't interfere with the next line of boards that are sitting adjacent to it. So we fixed our boards down. They're currently fastened with tile adhesive, so because we've got a timber subfloor underneath this, we're also using screws and washers. Now, the screws and washers should be every 300 centres. So that's what we're going to do. We've pre-marked the positions of the washers and now just going to fix them in just using a simple combi drill. ProGrid is a anti-fracture or decoupling membrane that also allows you to run the cable around the castellations. As you can see, it's quite easy to cut with a Stanley knife and a straight edge. We've pre-cut it to just go around this little bit around the window, just checking that it fits. And now we are gonna prime the subfloor, because the next thing we're going to be doing is applying tile adhesive, as you can see me doing here. The tile adhesive is going to bond the membrane down. As you can see, we're pressing it into the adhesive to make sure we've got good contact and the membrane's not going to come up. It's always important that you prime the boards prior to putting down your tile adhesive and your ProGrid membrane. We've laid the majority now. We've just got this final piece to go in. We're just going to slot that in now, and then we'll talk about something that is unusual about this piece compared to the other pieces that have already been installed. So we've cut a trench in our backer boards, and we've also mirrored that in our ProGrid membrane, because we have a draw cable here that we're going to use to pull our power lead and also our floor probe lead through to the thermostat back box that's on the other side of the wall. Now, it's very important that when you install your cold tail, so this is the cold tail, and this is the heating element, and this is the cold tail joint. It's very important that this joint is fully encapsulated in tile adhesive or leveling compound, as if you don't do that, it's prone to overheat and that can cause your mat or your cable to fail. So we're just going to put that in there, and we're going to take the opportunity at this point as well to install our floor probe. Now the floor probe should be positioned exactly in the center of two heating elements. That's so it picks up a good solid reading of what the ambient floor temperature is. I'm just going to place ours around about here, and then I'm going to put this and the power lead just to one side. Later on we'll attach them to the draw cable and we'll pull them through to the thermostat on the other side of the wall. We've now completed laying our ProGrid cable in the space. As you can see, we've alternated between 3 and 4 on the spacing. This is just because that's what suited the room best in terms of maximising the coverage. We've now got to the end of our reel of cable, and what we see here is the termination joint. This basically completes the circuit, and as the same with the cold tail joint, this needs to be fully encapsulated in either adhesive or leveling compound. So I've marked a little patch on the membrane that we're going to cut out, and then we are just going to recess that down and put a little bit of tile adhesive over the top. Might have to pry this up with a little bit of force as there's tile adhesive underneath there. Should now be able to sit this in there, and I'll grab some adhesive and we can bed that in. So trowels have sharp edges, so just be very careful. The last thing that we have to do now is just our final resistance check. So as you can see, we've got our crocodile clips hooked onto the cold tail of the cable. We know that we should have 78.37 or to within 10%, and we're currently sat at 77.6. So this is all good. The last thing that we're going to do while we've got our multimeter out is we're going to check the resistance of our floor sensor, because it does ask for that on the commissioning record, and the insulation resistance test the electrician will do upon final connection. Now, the resistance of your floor sensor is going to be very high. It's in the order of between 8 and 20,000 ohms. So we need to change the setting on our multimeter. Set that to 20k, and we should get somewhere between about 8 and 20,000. Yep, so there we go. We've got 14.14k. So 14.13 thousand. So we know that our floor sensor is fine as well. That completes the installation of our ProGrid system. We hope you found the video helpful and useful. And for more information on any of our products, you can find details below.